Hi guys, so if you saw my last video, you know that I just got a job in a new hospital where we now live in the countryside, and I wanted to do a video about the questions they asked me at my interview and my answers, and I thought just do it now while it's fresh in my mind. So I quickly jotted down the questions that they asked me, so I kind of just want to share that with you and give you a bit of tips and advice to kind of be successful and kind of give the right answers and the answers that I gave. So the first question was really easy. It was just about, have you worked in an NHS trust before? And they just wanted to know basically that I hadn't qualified and never worked, or that I wasn't newly qualified and that I had some experience. So all I had to do is just say this, I've worked at this trust, and that was it. The second question they asked was, tell us about a time in your nursing career that you are proud of. Now, I thought this was a lovely question, and kind of one that I'd thought about a bit as I prepared the interview. So I kind of knew exactly, I had something in mind that I kind of wanted to tell them. And so I used an example of a patient and family that I worked with, that I got on really well with, and I made a positive impact on that child and that family's entire care and hospital experience. So I think it was a great question for them to ask, and it's a really good question to think about and prepare an answer to beforehand, so you can think about all your experiences before and what you want to really draw attention to. And obviously you're not really telling them about a patient or a family, you're telling them something about you, and by telling them that experience, I was showing that actually I'm good at calming down a distressed child, I'm good at making the child's experience positive, I'm good at communicating with the child and their family, without saying that, and just explaining the experience. The third question was, tell us about a time that you have worked as a team. And I kind of made a joke at the beginning that there's never a time that you go onto a nursing shift and don't work as a team. You're working as a team all the time, but obviously I had to kind of pick one and concentrate on that experience. Really, you could pick anything. I personally picked an emergency situation I was in. I kind of at the time was thinking that it's quite good that I'm showing that I was involved in an emergency situation, and I know that that's what it involves, and I know in that situation that teamwork's really important. But I just explained what happened in that situation and what were the benefits of teamwork and why it was so important in that situation. They just want you to know that you work well as part of a team. The fourth question, again, was a really great question about how I handle stress in a shift or in my nursing career. And I think it really reflects well on them that they kind of care about that. Everyone's experience and ways that they handle stress are different, so I can't really say to you this is what you say in that situation, but it's a good kind of thing to think about and to prepare for, and to kind of think, if they ask me how do I handle stress, how would I answer that? So I said that I kind of leave my work at work, that I worked hard when I'm there, but I come back to my family, and also that when I'm actually on shift and there's a stressful situation, I draw on the support of the team. And that's why teamwork and communication is so important. And if I'm really stressed and overwhelmed and struggling with my workload, I'll go to someone and tell them about that, because again, it is that they want to know how you handle stress, but they also want to know something about you. So that's reflecting that I'm good at teamwork, I'm good at communication, I can manage my own stress, I can manage my own workload. And in that, I also said that if someone else is very stressed and I don't have much to do, I will help them. Again, it shows that I'm a team player, that I'm willing to support the team as a whole. Question number 5 was a safeguarding question about what I would do if I was concerned about a child in my care. Again, these questions are really common, and actually you should always have a safeguarding answer in your mind, and really in a way that kind of is an easy question, because you just document that you tell the nurse in charge, you tell the safeguarding lead, and that's really all you can do. As well as that, I gave an example of when I've had to refer a child I was concerned about to the safeguarding person, to show that I'm not just kind of rattling off things that I've heard in training, but I've actually done that before. That was quite an easy question as safeguarding questions go. The questions that are more difficult are scenario-based questions. If a child came in presenting this, this and this, what would you do? Or if a parent was saying this, this and this, or if a child disclosed this, this and this, what would you do? Those are harder, but in a way you kind of would do the same. You would document it, you would report it, you would refer it to the social service, the safeguarding lead. And question number 6 was just, do you know our trust values? Now, I'm so glad that I literally thought about, oh, the trust values, and I should write them down about 10 minutes before the interview. And I had looked at the trust values, but I hadn't memorized them. So I quickly just went online, found the NHS Trust, went to our mission and values and wrote down some of the key statements in there and could answer that. So it's also very important in preparing. Then right at the end of the interview, they asked me if I had any questions. And I've said this many times in my videos before, it is so important that you have questions. And I spent all morning thinking about what I wanted to ask, because I'd actually visited the ward before and asked quite a lot, and I knew quite a lot. So I didn't know whether to ask something I'd already asked or to ask something new. And then I kind of thought about I kind of spent some time thinking about it and came up with these 3 questions. So my first question was quite personal to me, because I've been out of nursing for 3 years and I wanted to know what kind of support I would get going into a new trust. But to be honest, that would apply to anyone who's changing from one hospital to another, from one trust to another, from one type of nursing job to a different type of nursing job. What kind of support would I get? Is there supernumerary shifts? What kind of training I get? And that kind of leads it, like they then started talking about the training I would get, which led me on to the second question that I had, which is how much, because it's a bank position that I was applying for, how much as a bank nurse would I be able to access the training? And even if it was a permanent position you were applying for, what kind of training is available to me as a nurse, as a band 5, as a band 6, how can I develop within the trust? They really like to know that you want to be part of the trust, you want to learn, you want to have that training and be involved in that. And then on top of that, with the training question, I asked, what kind of training do you have available? Because some just have like the mandatory training and maybe some IVs, but I quite like to know if they have any additional training, like a HDU course maybe, ventilation training, anything in addition is also really good to know, especially if you're interested in developing your nursing career in a particular area. And the third question that I like that they actually commented on, saying that it was a really good question, although I was a little bit scared to ask it, but I'm glad I did in the end, is if I asked them if you could pick 3 words or sentences to describe the paediatric unit, what would you pick? What 3 words would you use to describe the paediatric unit? And what they said to me was that it's really welcoming, that it's really supportive, and they told me about lots of examples and things that nurses said, and that actually with the COVID situation they've changed a lot and they're really open to change and changing things, which gives me a good indication of their attitude. And they also mentioned that they had won an award for I can't exactly remember, something about kind of using their initiative and the changes that they made through COVID. So that just gave me a really good understanding of what it might be like to work there. So it was important for them to answer that for me, but it also I think kind of impresses them, like it's kind of a good question to ask. Yeah, so I've gone on for 10 minutes already, so I'll leave that there. I will probably do a second part to this video about kind of questions that I prepared, because obviously they could ask you anything. So there were 3 pages of questions that I prepared, so I will talk about those as well. And I'm also, as I mentioned in the other video, going to do like an NMC related video, because I'll have to kind of get back on the register and go through readmittance. So I'll do that for you as well. And if you have anything else that you want me to film and talk about, please comment below. I'd love to hear it and I'll try and do that for you. Okay, thanks guys, have a nice week. Bye bye.